I'm Jenny Thomas.
And I'm her friend, Ellie David. We decided to create a podcast that embodies what you would talk about with your closest friends.
So sit back and relax and put your headphones in.
Because you're listening to the Honestly Unfiltered podcast.
I'm going to be choking back tears this whole episode because I just found out that Clayton and Susie broke up. I love them together.
I did too. But I hate to say that I saw it coming. I read recently that he moved out. He left where she lives and he moved back to whatever state. So I thought that maybe they were having issues. And yesterday she posted her friends got engaged and pictures of the party. And of course, the sleuth that I am, I was looking for him in the pictures and I didn't see him. And I had a feeling that it was just posted on Instagram or...
Yeah, I think I saw it on TikTok, actually.
That's sad. I was really hoping they'd make it despite the odds, and everything that they went through.
Now, were they married or just still engaged?
I don't know if they didn't get engaged.
They never, no.
No.
They had such a rocky end there. Clayton was the Bachelor where Rachel and Gabby came from last season.
Okay. And you were saying that like, the whole reason that the two girls got the Bachelorette together was how badly it went for them on that season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I sound like Gabby. Yeah.
Yeah. You did sound just like her. Yeah. The way. Yeah. Well, that's a shame. I hate to see anybody break up like that.
I know. I'm very sad, but I'll try to push through for you ladies.
Well, there's a lot of Bachelor sadness going around, especially this week with the situation with Tino and Rachel.
Yes, definitely. We need to get
what's your
into that. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me back. I know we had talked about me coming back.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Of course, after the finale, and you ladies are true to your word, so I appreciate that. I have so many thoughts on, the 2-part finale, that 5 hours of, 5.5 really, right? So we'll never get back ever again. And I feel like it could have been summed up in probably 20 minutes. I don't know. I mean, there was so much back and forth and everything, but I think that before I touch on what happened with, Rachel and Tino, by the way, I just finished listening to Tino's dad's episode with you guys, and it was awesome. I loved it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I loved his perspective. I love that, people just don't seem to get him, and that his humor is different than like most, right? And he wasn't trying to be mad or mean. He was just trying to be a good dad, which as a parent, and I know you guys, understand, you're trying to do what's best for your child. So I'll get to that, but I just wanted to put that out there that I think it's awesome you guys had him on the podcast. And
thank you.
Yeah, of course I had to take a listen, and you guys please go listen to that if you're listening to this. So I feel like they were definitely set up to fail in the beginning, of course. And I know that everybody said, oh, we'll never pit them against each other. And that's exactly what happened. And I think that the show was so good at exposing all of their insecurities to the point where they were just broken down, so vulnerable and just so broken down. Yeah. And that was really hard to see. And they also allowed kind of the guys to play into that a little bit too. I feel like maybe they told them to, ignore Rachel at times or whatever it was, just kind of feed into that, right? That's what I got out of it. Out of some of the episodes, I felt that way. And that just kind of continued. And I also feel like towards the end when, Avon is trying to say, hey, look, I love you. I want to be engaged to you. I just don't want to do it this way. I mean, that first of all, that would tell us that he'll never be the Bachelor because he doesn't believe the process works, right? Which is totally fine. Right. But that was never going to be an option because that is the key principle to the show, that you have to believe that it can work.
Like with Peter Krause and Rachel, the other Rachel.
Lindsay. Yep.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
that's why I think he never became the Bachelor, because he
Exactly.
didn't believe in the process.
Yeah. Now, as far as like Mike Johnson, what's the excuse there? But because he definitely did. But anyway, I digress. So I feel, I feel like, I feel like when the girls were telling the guys, "You're the only one left," that was the worst mistake that they made the
Biggest. Oh,
entire show.
totally. Yes.
Because let's look at the psychology of a man, right?
Mm-hmm.
They like the competition. They like
Yeah.
feeling like, I mean, I know how Tino was like moping about, oh, I can't go on this date or whatever, but there was still that like competition spirit, and I think it like fueled him, right? Like he wanted to win, but also
Mhm.
wanted Rachel. And so it was kind of like that was gone. That's why he had no reaction. No reaction
Yeah.
when she told him, "You're the last one here. You're the only one
Right.
here." And you could see deadpan.
Yeah.
Like there was no emotion whatsoever, because basically
No.
there's no more competition. He's like, wait, I want to
Like,
win.
okay, it's over.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, I don't get to beat someone else out of this. I don't get to like be the winner or whatever. And same thing with Gabby. When Gabby told Eric that he was the only one. Granted, it wasn't the same type of like reaction, but the same thing. I feel like when you take that competition aspect away, when it's been there the entire show, you're going to have a
Mhm.
different type of person who's like, oh, wait a minute. I don't have to be engaged now. I don't have to propose, because why? There's no pressure. That's why you had both of them step back from the proposal.
Right. And not only that, from my perspective, if I were in that position and someone came to me and said, "You're the only one left," I would almost feel like, okay, so now am I your choice because I've won by default?
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
puts that
you don't
out
feel
there.
special, right?
No.
You don't feel special. Exactly. You win by default. So both men, you could see, they just changed like a dime, like on a dime. They changed. They're like, whoa. Now there's no pressure on me. And then that's why we had these issues come up, because of what happened with that. I firmly believe that if Rachel didn't tell Tino and if Gabby didn't tell Eric, the ending would have been very, very different. Very different.
Totally agree.
I think they still would have proposed, but I think the whole thing surrounding it would have been very, very different. But that's just my
opinion. No, I agree, because both of those guys were hot to trot. They were so emotional and so after her and so worried. And then the minute that they were told, they were like, "Oh, okay." And it was, you could see, especially with Gabby's guy, Eric. He was chasing her after her. He was like worried about her fantasy suites and what was going to happen. Please don't do this, don't that. Then the minute he found out, he was like, "Oh, well, do we have to get married? Do I still have to propose?"
Right, exactly.
I have a question, because I didn't follow it closely or anything. The whole thing with Tino and the cheating, when did that exactly happen? Was it, and why? Because I know it's been described as like they were in this like Ross and Rachel type.
We're on a break.
We're on a break, but why were they on a break? I'm still kind of confused to
Everybody
what happened there. I mean, I know who they are, but
well, I think Bachelor Data broke it down really well. I'd have to pull it up and look at her breakdown, but as far as what I remember, they were having issues when the premiere week aired, which was back in July, I think 11th, that week, is when the premiere aired. And they're already having issues then. So I believe it happened between July 11th and then, before the ending, obviously, of their season. So she didn't know exactly, but she thinks around like mid-August is what she was saying that it happened.
Okay.
And what I didn't like of how they handled it, both sides, honestly, one, Rachel was still not listening to what Tino was saying. Tino was trying to explain himself, and I feel like Rachel was shutting him down. Now, I saw fault in both. Okay, I'm not taking anyone's side here.
100%.
Right? I saw fault in both. I think that, again, they are so young to be dealing with these types of issues also, and all this pressure, right? That's another reason why I like really don't like the fact that, you know, the leads are just not old enough to be on a show dealing with 30
No.
guys, 30 girls, right? They have no business. They need to be out there just dating normally, you know, until they're at least 30, at least 30. But anyway, I feel like because of the pressure they felt and just everything that was put on them, you know, that they cracked. And that's what happens is they don't know each other well enough. They only have these like happy couple weekends or whatever where they're trying to get to know each other. And, you know, most likely that's just not, the hard questions aren't being asked, you know, things are just not the way that they should be. If you're really trying to make a relationship work, that isn't enough time. It's not, even if you're, you know, I don't even know. I think they see each other maybe once a month for a weekend. Like that's never going to be enough time for anybody, you know, much less like someone who met on a reality TV show.
But that's always the case with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, right? I mean, this is how it
they need to
goes
change
down.
it.
So it's like, yeah, I agree. It's like, because what are the statistics as far as who's actually sticking once the show's over, where they actually have a lasting relationship?
They're nothing. I mean, we just said that Clayton and Susie broke up, and we thought they were like rock solid a few months ago, you know, and then they're moving apart and like
I think JoJo and Jordan JoJo and Jordan were before Erin, but he was a fiasco too because he changed his mind with Becca. But JoJo and Jordan just got married recently, and then it was Erin the last Bachelor to get married. I mean, I know, of course, my favorite couple, Ashley and Jared, but they were technically Bachelor in Paradise.
Right. Well, and that whole situation with Ari and Becca, it really reminded me of what we saw with Rachel and Tino. Very, very similar, you know, not as much crying on Rachel's part. I mean, she was still upset, but I mean, Becca crying, it was like, oh my God, Becca, how long are you going to cry here? You know, but it was a lot, but very similar situation. So back to what I was saying about the whole cheating thing though, I feel like Tino was thinking that, you know, and I think a lot happened that Rachel didn't want to discuss, right? She was like, oh, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to bring this up. So maybe Rachel, you know, took her ring off and said, look, we are on a break, or maybe she didn't want to admit that, or, you know, we'll never know, or maybe we'll know later, but we're not going to know now, unfortunately. And that's why I feel like we can't really judge a situation because we don't know all the information.
I got the... Go ahead, Jenny.
No, well, I was going to say, I think once Tino goes on Nick Vile's show next week, we're going to get a lot of answers. He's doing Nick on Thursday. I don't know if that means it's airing Thursday or if he's coming on Thursday. Now, Joe, Tino's dad, he alluded to something, and I haven't clipped. I know a lot of people have listened, and I haven't really focused on it. I'm going to clip these this weekend and put them up. The way and I might have put this up. I can't remember. It's been so much this week with that. But the way he said, well, you know, what I feared was going to happen happened. They come back. They start to get to know the real people, and then issues arise. So I'm wondering what transpired there, if she wasn't really as happy with him as she thought she would be, and then threw him for a loop is what I kind of got. And then he was just so crushed by it. He, you know, sought out somebody else just to make himself feel better, which is wrong. Anyway, they're both wrong. But my other thought was that I just lost. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll come back to me.
Well, go ahead, Elia.
I just wanted to throw out there, to your point as well, Erin. I really got this vibe from the little bit that I watched. But Rachel, I felt like she wanted to make sure that there was no way she could be culpable. That, you know, okay, yes, he did the cheating, but she wanted to make sure that she stayed very much the victim.
Oh, yeah.
And had nothing to do with why he might have done that. And so, you know, I definitely got a weird vibe. And I guess me being someone that's not invested, that says something, because you know what I mean? It's like, I'm just looking at you as a woman looking at a woman, and I'm like, girl, what'd you do? You did something to make him run away. I don't because he was pretty into you, you know. Not that listen, I never want to blame a woman for a man cheating on her.
No.
But I'm just saying, it's like he offered up information that he didn't have to. He wanted to do the right thing. And yeah, it was pretty awful how they handled
especially when he came with the journal armed and ready.
I was about to say
go over their breakup.
That was low. I felt like that was low. I felt like that was a little bit ouch, a little much. Yeah, that was hurtful.
Unless, you know, and it could be that he was just so frazzled. The way I took it, I think he's intimidated by her. I felt like he was, the way that whole thing went down in the house, he was so afraid of her. I don't think he knew what to expect, or I don't know if at that point he was trying to win her back. So he was trying to keep his thoughts collected where he could say, well, on this day we did this and this is why, and this is what I wrote, because it seems like she fires very quickly. Mm-hmm. And I think, and because she is very smart, I don't think he sees it coming, and maybe he wanted to be prepared. What I wonder is if Avon were to be agreeable to a propose, do you think she would have chosen him over Tino? Because it seemed like it from the way and maybe she wasn't happy with Tino, and maybe she told him those things, and maybe that's what. But she didn't want that to get out.
That's a really good theory, actually.
Honestly, though, I think it was always Tino from day one. I think she did say that.
Yeah, that's the.
I think it was.
Or is it edited that way?
No, I think it was. And she went on Chicks in the Office, and I think she said kind of the same thing, like, you know, that's why it's so devastating, because like Tina was her kind of person, right? But she did admit that when she was upset, she would go to Avon. And I was like, that's your safe space. But yet, yeah, like that you didn't really add up. But I don't know. I mean, I think that she would have had, I think her heart would have been pulled, but also I think that Nick Viall was on something when he said that he saw her smiling. I saw her smiling too. And, you know, when she was leaving Avon, and I feel like it was a relief smile. I do feel like that was a relief smile, but, you know, they had a little, they didn't have a date, but they had a nice conversation after, you know, he walked in between she and Tino on after the final rose. So I have to say, I'm glad he did that, but they definitely should have excused Tino. Do you guys agree?
They should have. I agree. Ellie?
I don't think I really watched that part.
It was the end where he came.
That was crazy.
I felt like the poor guy was. Yes, he was wrong, but there have been leads, or for lack of a better word, winners that have done worse, and they haven't had that kind of treatment. Mm-hmm. And they said Avon didn't know that Tino was still going to be on stage.
Right.
I like to believe that, but I felt like it was such a horrible conversation. It wasn't like it was the Jed situation where, I mean, he really roasted her, and he really came out of that looking badly, and she was so devastatingly hurt and heartbroken, where with Hannah Brown I'm talking about. And even then, Tyler didn't come out with Jed on the stage. It was separate. I felt like it was really demoralizing to him.
I felt like they jumped on to the show anyway, to the smoke from Joe. I think that I don't know. It's like, I felt like ever since that happened and so many people were coming for Tino's father in such a negative way, it's like it almost transferred to him, and they kind of used that, you know, and excused all this stuff in that way, you know what I mean? And the fans would, you know, accept this, you know, extra, you know, jab or whatever because of their, you know, they're pissed at his dad, you know. I don't know. I'm a novice, so I don't know, but it definitely was not it was hard to look at. It's like, that's sad.
Well, if you look at the past, I feel like, what Peter Weber's mom did reflect upon Peter. So that makes sense. I mean, I think that, right, that did kind of make him look even worse, I would say. So, yeah, I think that what Joe did previously, went at hometowns and whatever, even though he was misunderstood, that definitely did trickle down to Tino. And you even asked him, he wasn't at Final Rose because they didn't want him there. They didn't want him to make more waves or whatever for Tino, but or distract. Exactly. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But
Tino didn't know he was coming on the podcast.
No.
And he, even as it aired, as as soon as it went live and I let him know, he was still worried about what Tino's reaction was going to be. I hope Tino's not mad at me. And I hope it's not taken negatively. And, I get in more hot water with Tino. And I said, so far it's been positive. So I really don't think he will. And of course, I was like, well, if Tino wants to come tell the story when he's not under contract.
Yeah,
and
that's what we're hoping.
He's like, I don't think that's going to happen. Tino does not want to talk about it anymore. And then I said, well, I heard he's doing Nick Viall next week. And he said, no, I don't think he is. And I said, well, maybe Nick's presumptuous, but it's been announced.
I don't think Tino's telling you everything, Papa Joe.
Wow, how interesting.
You're not in the total loop.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he probably just doesn't want to talk about it, until he probably just wants to take a breather. And it's been a little bit of time too, since like their heated argument, in the house, wherever that was. I think that was in like August is what it sounds like. But yeah. I think that, it's a shame. It's a shame because I did like them together and I thought that they had,
I did too.
A lot of good things. They complement each other in a lot of great ways, but I do feel that the pressure and just not having enough time together, if the show could change where they could literally be together from when the finale, is filmed until after the Final Rose airs, that would be a game changer. That'd be a huge game changer.
I don't know why they can't be sequestered somewhere, but then they'd have to school. I guess they'd have to do the runner up also.
Oh, that is.
They'd have to sequester the final four. Yeah,
that would be difficult. That would be too difficult. Yeah, you're right. That's probably why they don't do it. But I just in my head, I'm just like, they don't have enough time together, But speaking of podcasts, though, did you guys hear that Erin was supposed to be on Caitlin Bristow's podcast and was pulled last minute?
Really?
I
wonder why.
Caitlin just went on her stories and said, I just was told that Erin is not coming to podcast with me today. And she had Sean's wife come instead. But I mean, what?
Wow.
And that's someone who's in the fold, right? In the like ABC fold, like the Bachelor family. I mean, she was there, after the Final Rose. Like maybe they didn't like the way that she talked about Tino. Maybe they didn't like the way that she was being very vocal about her opinions on the show.
She was, and she was very vocal about. Yeah, she was very vocal about her opinions about Tino, but then she was also vocal where she felt like it was demoralizing to Tino for them to do that.
Right, so maybe they didn't like that.
Maybe Erin pulled it last minute. Yeah, I wonder. Did ABC pull it? We don't know yet. Yeah, she didn't say.
Yeah, she just said Erin's not coming. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys knew that, but I thought that was really interesting.
No, I haven't been on. I haven't. I've been out of the loop today. I worked, most of the day, so I was out of the loop. I haven't been on Instagram.
I live there. It's my second home.
We've had a very busy social media week.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's for sure.
Our heads were spinning, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Intense. But we have to talk about, so I think that as far as the finale goes, I think those were like the main points that I wanted to touch on it. Although I will say I was very, very disappointed that they addressed Eric's ex-girlfriend, put the text up there even, and let the blackface slide.
Yeah, I cannot believe, especially with Rachel Lindsay in the house, they did not address that.
She was there.
She was there.
I didn't know she was there. Wow.
She was sitting next to Caitlin. Ellie, to give you a little bit of backstory,
Was she?
Eric, who Gabby chose, a picture surfaced of him from high school wearing, in blackface. And he released a statement
Jimi
and he
Hendrix.
said it was, he dressed up as Jimi Hendrix and poor choice, a learning experience, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But they didn't mention it or address it in the finale. They only addressed the scandal where his ex-girlfriend came forward and said they were together when he left for the show and he contacted her when he got back and blah, 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 blah. So they didn't. And I just figured with Rachel Lindsay there, because she kind of has backed away since the season with not Mike. Tyler's friend. Matt James. Yes. Yep. I feel like since that whole Chris Harrison debacle, she's really backed away from the franchise. And I don't even think she's under contract with them anymore.
No.
But I was shocked to see. I was like, okay, well, if Rachel's there, they're going to address this. And maybe she's even going to speak. Because she's always so eloquent when she speaks about race and things like that, and the do's and don'ts.
Are you criticizing the fact that they swept it under the rug and didn't ask him questions or anything?
Yeah,
not a single question. They were definitely asking questions about this ex-girlfriend. Why would you tell her that the show is fake? Why would you go on the show if you don't believe it's real? And of course that 100% needed to be addressed, but so did this. Mm-hmm. So did this.
Yeah.
And that is just taking steps backwards. It's just taking steps backwards.
It's a terrible look for the Bachelor brand.
Terrible.
Yeah, sorry. It's a terrible look for the Bachelor brand, because I can tell you, and I'm someone that is very socially active, as far as just, I'm very woke, okay? And something that I am very invested in is those types of, the social issues that we're dealing with. And I can tell you, word on the street, Bachelor is racist.
Oh, yeah.
And the reality is that, you can have a couple black contestants. That's like saying, I have a black friend. I'm not racist.
Black friend, I'm
like,
not racist.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so it's like, I didn't realize that had happened, but hearing that now, it's like, yeah, that was really not helping the case to not make a bigger deal about that. Then
they are.
I mean, if they really wanted to do something, really big, they would have gotten rid of him when they found out.
It was after the season aired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it was just in the last couple of weeks. Yeah,
it was afterwards.
So too late,
unfortunately. But... Yeah, and also
it's always after.
I also think because he was the ring winner and, he was the winner, that they were protecting him a little bit. Right. So I think that had a lot to do with it, because they want to have a successful relationship. They don't want this to break up. Gabby and Eric, obviously, they have to have something good come out of such a shitty season.
Oh, yeah.
But everything they do is performative. And that's what I have a problem with. And I feel so complicit, because here I'm watching and I'm like, so angry and up in arms.
I know,
and I'm just like,
too.
okay, when's the next episode? Like, that's terrible. Like, I wish I could.
When's Bachelor in Paradise?
It's like pulling myself away. It's like an addiction. It's like a drug. That's bad for you.
That's how I feel that's how I feel when I go into Cracker Barrel. I don't know if you've been to a Cracker Barrel, Erin.
Yes, of course. I'm Southern. Are you kidding me?
Every time I'm like, this is the only acceptable form of racism, and it's funny because I've seen so many TikToks with black people, and they're like, that's their thing. They're like, this is the only acceptable form, white people. Cracker Barrel. I'm like, every time I go in, I'm like, the shame.
Why? Enlighten me, because I've never thought of Cracker Barrel as being racist, except for that it originated in the South.
Me either.
Is that why it's bad? Because you could say Waffle House. You could go down the list.
It's the whole cracker, like they're literally on the sign with the whip. Now, but this is the thing. Not to make excuses, black people, if you're listening, I am your ally. But
she is.
God, same.
In Florida, especially, this is a real thing, and I'm sure you've heard that term, Florida cracker.
Yes, I was born in Florida.
Yes. So I keep forgetting that. So
Sorry,
the crackers, especially in South Florida, they gave them this name because of they were ranch hands. Like these were the guys that had like the cattle ranches and stuff. And so they were using the whips, but it was not for slaves. It was it could have been too. I don't know, but but they called them crackers. So the whole Cracker Barrel thing it's based on that. And it wasn't just Florida. They were around. But, come on. That's not a good look.
I mean, okay, if we've taken away like Aunt Jemima, we've taken away Uncle Ben, like can they rename the restaurant?
Right.
Like this is really upsetting to me.
Or
at least change the
do
sign.
Some artwork.
Rebrand the logo.
So then there was just this story. I was dying. Me and my husband sent it to me. He's like, did you hear this? People were white people were losing their shit because Cracker Barrel started selling Impossible sausage. This is how. So the customer base, that tells you a little something, because that's too woke. Like, no. You're not serving meat. Anyway, little history there, but
they make a damn grilled chicken tenderloin sandwich. That grilled tenderloin sandwich. Oh God, the melted cheese,
the holiday
the bread.
decorations. Oh my God.
Oh, the biscuits.
The biscuit.
It's comfort. It's comfort. It's like Southern comfort.
It is
totally
it's cozy. It's getting cozy with Erin. Like that's like part of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Absolutely. Well, just so you know, Black people have told us it's okay.
Okay. Thank God.
Well, Black TikTok anyway. What I've seen, they're okay with it. We're all right.
Wow. Okay. Well, let me go back to Rachel Lindsay being there.
Climb out of the rabbit hole.
Right. I'm like, holy shit! What just happened?
Happens a lot here.
Yeah.
Rachel Lindsay I don't know how I missed that. So she was sitting next to. I thought Grandpa John was sitting next to Caitlin.
I think eventually he was, but
she was
initially he was in front of her. Let me be sure.
Now, did Rachel ever address this blackface thing herself? Like, was she ever asked about it anywhere?
I'm sure she has.
She addressed it after the final rose in her stories and just said, this is the photo that they should have put up on the screen, not the text messages between he and his ex. And then showed his blackface photo from high school of Jimi Hendrix or whatever.
Okay.
And she said that, like what I just said, is taking steps back. It's, when you claim you want diversity and then you do this, and then you name another white bachelor. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
When you had so many incredible. Ethan would have been incredible as the first Asian bachelor. I love him. He's hysterical. He's adorable. Freaking celebrities were asking for him to be the, it's like if celebrities are telling you want this person, why would you go against that? Those are viewers. Hello.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I think they're
mad.
They're vastly they're vastly underestimating the audience. I really believe that because if they're making decisions like that, they're making it based on what they think the audience wants. And it's like, look, I mean, all the talk I hear from fans when I'm watching little, the TikToks or Instagram stuff or whatever. I mean, I'm hearing this over and over and over and over again that people want.
I know
other, races to be picked.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I know.
It doesn't make sense. And I mean, Zach, I'm sorry. Like, first of all, he's only 26, which bothers me.
Yeah.
A lot.
Can you get any whiter?
Exactly. He can't even carry a conversation. He's awkward as hell on camera. Awkward as hell. He never got less awkward to me on camera. He never did. And as you saw when they met the girls or whatever, that was to shit. It went to shit. It was horrible. It was like so awkward to watch. The girls felt awkward. He was awkward. I can't say awkward enough. Like, it was just not comfortable. Jesse was even awkward with him. Like, I don't get it. Wow. I don't know why they would choose. And I don't know if it's because they had chosen Nate And then all that stuff came out. And then Nate said, no, I'm not going to be a bachelor. He turned it down. I don't know if that's why. Maybe that's why. I hope in my heart that's why they went with someone who they could easily get on board, you know? I don't know. It's upsetting. And I don't know.
Has there ever been conversation about possibly doing like a celebrity bachelor?
Yeah, Jesse wanted
touched on it.
Jesse himself said he wanted Pete Davidson.
That would be so cool.
I know.
That would get people to watch that don't watch.
Absolutely.
Like me.
And it would get high caliber
check
women.
It out more frequently.
It would get high caliber women. Look at who he's dated.
Instead of these kids.
Yeah.
Who was calling the shots? Who was calling? Or do they want the franchise to just demise? Because literally this will be the demise of the franchise. If they keep doing this, it's not going to be around. I believe that.
No, because it's getting played out and like corny. It's getting cornier and cornier, especially for those of us that aren't into it to begin with. But for those of you that have been loyal, I'm sure you're getting bored AF after all these years.
The girls are just getting younger and younger. And I think I'm wrong. That was not Rachel at the finale. That was Michelle.
Okay. I was going to say Rachel was there. Okay, Michelle, yes. 100%.
I always confuse them. I think I know it's not because they're both black.
I wasn't going to say it.
I know you were thinking it.
I was going to make a joke.
But no, I feel like they look a little bit alike, but maybe not. Maybe, I'm just blind.
So Michelle said something though during the finale that really upset me. She's like, when they panned over to her, Caitlin, and Becca, she's like, "Oh yeah, just 3 washed up bachelorettes over here," and I'm like, "You guys are queens. What are you talking about? Why would you refer to yourself that way?" Which makes me sad, thinking that they feel that way now, or at least Michelle feels that way, right? Like, how sad is that?
I think something bigger. I think maybe she's coming off of that interview that Nate did, and she's feeling some kind of way because Caitlin and Becca are far from washed up. I mean, I think that Becca is definitely with a much better guy than
100%.
who she was with prior to. I think that Caitlin is in a healthier relationship. I know. I don't know much about Sean Booth. I don't think many people do, but I know that from what I've read for years, he never let Nick Viall leave their relationship. So you can see she's much happier now with Jason.
Oh, Jason's
Hardick.
Amazing.
It's so, he is wonderful and he adores her.
Oh yeah.
So I don't, that's got to be something from within. And I'm almost wondering if, the relationship with Nate took a toll on her for one reason or another. He tells one story, but we haven't heard hers.
Yeah, exactly. It just really broke my heart, because I don't want her to feel like that, and I hope that the show isn't perpetuating that. No.
Does it have something to do with the 15 minutes of fame type deal where you go on to these shows, you're the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, and you're idly worshipped for this, and people are literally fighting over you. And all of a sudden you have this huge following and everybody's paying attention to you. I can imagine that it takes a toll on someone's psyche. Like you 100%. Said, these people are so young, and so it probably is hard. I can imagine that it just really, it'll affect your self-esteem. Because you're not going to stay on that pedestal,
Exactly. But it's sad, to hear that. And I think maybe she's having trouble dating post Nate, maybe, if she's putting herself out there, maybe she's having trouble and it's not, she's not the Bachelorette anymore. Right. So she kind of has to work for it, I guess, to go back out there. But I don't know. It really sad, made me sad. It didn't sit well with me at all. But
no, that's really terrible. I'm sad for her if that's how she feels, but she is also very fresh out of this breakup. So hopefully things will look up soon for her. She could just be down on herself for her choices that she made. Maybe she's sorry she didn't go the other way. And who knows? I mean, we could guess all day long.
Well, and now she has to watch, if she's going to watch Paradise, she has to watch Brandon potentially fall in love with someone, which is not going to feel good either, right? So that's on the
I was
horizon.
thinking that.
If I was her, I would not be watching that. That's for sure. But she probably will. She has to. She has to. She does Bachelor Happy Hour. She has to watch Paradise. Oh my God.
Yeah.
She has to watch it.
Ooh, that's not nice.
No. No.
Let me watch my ex go fall in love with someone.
Talk
about part and salt.
This whole situation.
Yeah.
Like,
it's very it's all Bachelor Nation. They're all. It's very incestuous. Incestuous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is really, seriously. I know. And whenever I've interviewed contestants, they've said that. You know, they really do stay in those circles. Can we talk about how all the men from this season, though, met in Nashville and just trashed Tino at a club?
Yeah. That's so weird.
Yes.
There's got to be more to what they have to know something. There has to have been maybe more went on behind the scenes that we don't know about. You know, there was those comments. I didn't realize that Tino's dad made about, well, Joe said, you know, something about no one really got to know Jason. And I wonder if there wasn't something else there. A couple of people I read on Reddit after listening to our interview said the same thing. What maybe Tino showed his ass, you know, during filming and production. It just wasn't shown.
You don't seem like that type. So what did these guys do? You trashed him how? What I missed this.
So they all met in Nashville for like a boys' weekend. And they, you know, they're having dinner or whatever. And then they went to a club that night, as they do. And they got bottle service. And they had I don't know whose idea it was. It sounds like it was Alex's idea, right? To have this sign that says like season 19 boys or guys or dudes or whatever. And then, or bachelors, I think it's season 19 bachelors. And on the back it said, fuck Tino.
Oh
yeah,
and this was like a big sign, like, you know, there's like fireworks
with like bulbs and everything.
Sign.
Yeah. Are we sure it wasn't like? Are we sure it wasn't like funny because the Tino won or no? Okay, no chance.
I don't.
No, they apologized to him. One of the guys apologized to him texted him and apologized to him the next day.
It was rude. It was so.
It was rude.
That is.
It was not necessary.
It's immature.
You know? Yeah. And I feel like this happened, was it last season? This happened too. What did the sign say? I can't recall. Do you remember?
No.
It said fuck somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's just tradition.
They're real original. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right?
It's just tradition.
Seriously.
No big deal.
I was shocked. It does. I was really shocked that came from Tyler in that group. Because he to me seemed so such a stand-up guy. Yeah. For him to be a part of that.
Yeah, they all were.
But, I mean
I'm hoping Tino will say more and give us more info, maybe on the Nick Viall show.
I think he will.
Nick is funny. I was telling Jenny, I've been following Nick on TikTok for like ever. Had no idea he was a Bachelor guy.
No.
How funny. Oh my God.
Yeah. I just love him and I think he's sweet and I like love his like, you know, advice that he's giving people and stuff. Didn't know who the hell he was. Had no idea. Then I'm like, wait, what?
Ellie, I've met him in person, Ellie.
Wow.
I met him in person. Oh, he's hot. He's sexy. Like he is.
Like I said, he's my hall pass.
Like so that's your hall pass?
That's my hall pass.
I get it. No, he just seems like a sweet man. For sure. You know?
He does.
Oh, as he should. Good for him.
I wouldn't use the word sweet to describe him, but I mean...
snarky is more like it.
No, I mean like... Not like
he probably has a good heart. I would have to say.
That's what I get from him is like he's got like he's a little more soulful than you hear a lot of men, you know, being. That's why I was following him because
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm like, who is this guy that's not a total douchebag but has every right to be? Look at him, and so I'm always attracted to men that, are a little more in touch with that side of themselves,
I think Nick is the type of guy that if you're the woman in his life and you're his children potentially someday or his parents, I think he loves the people he loves with his whole heart.
That's what I was going to say. I will say that he was raised very well. He's very, very close to his mother, very good to his mom. And he's, one of like 11 kids or something crazy like that.
Mhm.
So,
Wow.
yeah, he values family. He wants a lot of kids. He always has. And I think that's why he went with someone who's a little bit younger who can have children for many, many
I was going to say yes.
For many
or who is a child. Who is a child
Yeah.
herself. No, I'm kidding.
Yes. 18-year difference there, but
Good
I was
night.
shocked when somebody
Good for
told
him.
me. Somebody asked
It is
me
shocking.
recently, can you believe that? Yeah. Somebody said, can you believe his girlfriend's 18 years younger than him? And I was like, what? No, she's not.
So how old
Oh,
is
yeah.
how old is she? How old is he?
He's 40.
22.
He just turned 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she doesn't look at or carry herself that way.
She's very mature, I
mean,
feel like,
it's-
for her age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't look his
40
age either.
is
I mean,
not what it used
honestly.
to be either. No.
Yeah,
No,
that's true.
I was shocked. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He doesn't look 40, and I get that. I'm okay with that. I approve.
Ellie's stamp of approval there.
Oh my gosh. Well, I do hope that from this, poor bachelor choice that we get some great girls. I hope we have less drama and cattiness than we've seen in recent seasons. That is just
Me too.
awful to watch. It's just awful to watch.
It doesn't leave me much hope. He's 26. These girls are going to be 22, 23.
I know.
Yeah, for sure.
They are. It's already come out. They're like 25, 23, 22. Yeah, exactly. It's already like half the cast, I think, has come out.
Like, instead of calling it The Bachelor, we just need to call it, like, Bama Rush or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
what is
exactly.
happening? Like,
No, it's true. They're
I
all
think
babies.
that's why, Erin, your show, I'm so excited about because, yeah, I mean, you want to see something more realistic,
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
Totally.
that it needs to be going in that direction, especially if you really do have people who genuinely want to be in relationships. You really have to have more experience than what these 20-year-olds are coming in with. It's not, I mean, was it
Mhm.
Nate that said it was like his first time falling in love? Of course, this isn't going to work out. Who is with this first
Right.
person that they've, like, no, that's just not how this
Yeah.
works. Like, you have to get your heart broken.
No.
I just talked to this guy who was on The Bachelorette many, many years ago. And he said, I refuse to date any woman who hasn't had her heart broken at least one or two times. Probably two, actually.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it you have to. Like, that is something that has to happen in your life before you find lasting love. It has to happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Period.
Mhm.
And I love that he said that. I was like,
It makes
yes,
you the
yes.
person you are.
Right.
Absolutely.
It makes you, it makes you the person that you are. It makes you more empathetic. It makes you more caring. I mean, Nate's parents told her he's not ready. They were like, no, this is a bad idea. He's
Yeah.
not mature enough. He's never said, I love you. He's
Dang.
never, and she just went,
She fell.
I
she
mean,
fell for
good
him.
for her. She went for the sparks and
Mhm.
and followed
and
her
it
heart.
helps. The heartbreak aspect too helps you know what you want and what you don't want.
Yeah.
Right. right.
So when you're
Yeah.
finally ready to settle with a partner, not to call any group of people out, but there's I never do that. But you see the Christian faith and some of the more very extreme aspects where I watch these young people getting married because they can't have sex till they get married.
Mm.
So, here they go.
Yeah. You're like, woo,
17 and 19, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be fun. Good.
because they want to have
buddy,
sex.
and
Exactly. It's not
it's
for the
like,
right reason.
but it's the, you don't have any of the, and I know that's a religious thing. So they have a totally different set of, values and qualifications. I understand that, but it is what makes the relationships so much harder. The relationships that fail, I think that's it. You know, they don't have, and these relationships are like set up to fail from jump in The Bachelor, I feel like. Because
no, they are 100%.
all the things you're pointing out. You know, it's like, do you really want people to find marriage and lasting or
they
not?
Don't.
Like, no, they want the drama. They want the drama.
Right. They want the drama. They are going to do everything they can to tear these relationships apart. Like on Paradise, they're going to tear those relationships apart. Whoever's relationship is strongest, they're going to test it till it breaks. They don't want, that isn't their goal. And that's the problem. That isn't their goal. If that was their goal, they would cast older contestants. That isn't their goal. And that's why it's so hard for me to stand by and keep watching the show, because they just want to torture these people. They just want to traumatize them. They just want to break them. You know, I mean, poor Rachel, God knows if she'll ever recover from being on that season. You know what I mean? Or being on the past 2 seasons, I would say. Yeah. She's never going to be the same person ever again. Ever.
No.
She'll need therapy her entire life. And they're fine with that. They're like, okay, well, that's just what happens, you know. But hey, look, she got, 100,000 more Instagram followers or whatever it is. It's like you sell your soul to the devil, literally.
Yeah.
For Instagram followers.
Yep.
That's what it is. And it's sad. Sad.
It is. I lost what I was going to say.
It's a lot.
Yeah, because they don't get any other than if they stay together. There's no other monetary gain. Or how does this work? I mean, do they get paid? Do they?
Well, Nate and
incentives?
Nate and Michelle were given $200,000 to buy their, buy a new house or whatever it was that they were going to do, start a life together. $200,000. They'd never done that before.
Did they get to keep that? Yeah, did they get to keep that? Do you know?
I think Michelle said, I think so. I believe so. Yeah, I believe they did, or they split it, or I don't know, something happened, but I can't remember. But I don't think they had to give it back. That was never said that they had to give it back. Right.
Because they have to give the ring back if they're not together for 2 years.
Right.
Right. Is 2 years on the ring? Yeah.
2 years on the ring. Yeah. But I don't know. The money, I guess, doesn't. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think that it's obvious that they just aren't trying to help these couples, help their relationships flourish. It's obvious,
Yeah.
No, they're not. And it's, I think that, I remember I was going to say, I feel like if for this season to succeed, what they would have had to do is what they did with Caitlyn and Britt, and had to men come in and cast their votes. And okay, so this is Team Gabby, this is Team Rachel, and there's no crossover. You're here. If you don't like the other one, you leave. That's just it. And we don't let the other one know. Because there was too much rejection. No, you don't have a rose ceremony and let Gabby give a rose, and for the guy to say, I don't want your rose, I want Rachel's. I mean, that's just tacky.
Ugly.
You know? And then go take her rose away because he rejected it. You don't get to pick somebody else.
Yeah.
That was so stupid. That was horrible. And then she ended up with way less guys than Gabby at some point. Yeah. And then letting that other guy jump ship to go on Gabby's side.
Literally.
I don't know. Yeah, literally.
The whole production of this season was just, it was a no. It was a no for me. Like I felt like they just missed the boat literally so many times. They could have made such better choices, all along the line. From day one, they didn't do it right. Yeah. And you saw I mean, I don't know about you if you guys watched or not, but Bachelorette Australia had 2. Bachelorette New Zealand had 2. No, there were really no issues. There was no, why didn't they just model it after those shows, And I think those couples are even still together. I mean, what are you
different
doing?
Showrunners.
Yeah, it's a different production team. 100%. Yeah. But why not just look at what's worked? They don't care about that. They wanted it to be the most dramatic, the most traumatizing, the most, crying, the most, Yeah, it just
They don't
Sounds
care.
like it, yeah.
no,
These girls
they
are just their
don't.
roadkill.
Exactly. Yeah. And now nobody
Do
wants
they
to be
handle
the lead.
do they
Yeah.
handle the Bachelorette differently than the Bachelor? Do you feel like there's
I
any
used to
difference
believe
there?
I used to believe they protected their leads, but then you watch Clayton season and you're like, oh, nope, definitely not.
Oh.
So now they're villainizing
Okay.
their leads just for ratings or
Mhm.
just for, just to traumatize them even further. And I'm afraid that, I mean, I feel like they kind of made Zach look stupid by asking him to recall the girls' names and after he met the first 5 or whatever. You could see how nervous he was, and yet you're going to put him on the spot and make him look stupid in front of these girls. You know what I mean? I don't know. I didn't think that was really in their best interest, but I will say, because Sean Lowe was there, that was very much saying, look, you could be the next Sean Lowe. So that is giving him some, right. They're lifting him up, unlike what they did to Clayton, which was the mean tweets and the, just being so rude and allowing people to make fun of him and bring his name up through the mud constantly, consistently, all through the last season. Still, even now.
I did see some people tweeting that they were like, oh, this is going to be another snooze fest and he's going to be so boring. I did, in all fairness, I recall a lot of people said that about Ben Higgins, and it was far from it. And he ended
Peter
up
Weber too.
Shocking people.
Yep.
Peter Weber, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
They were both very charismatic, and yeah, they were both. I loved Ben's season. I did like Peter's season up until I didn't. It's
But you look at what Peter did on Hannah's season versus what Zach did on Rachel's and Gabby's. You know what I mean? Peter really stood out. Zach didn't really stand out, I feel like. I mean, he did in the very beginning.
He acted like a whiny. He whined. I feel like he whined that she was different and why and this is not, it's supposed to be us and it's supposed to be like, why wasn't it could be him? And then the way he pulled her aside which was encouraged by Jesse. I feel like in the past, I feel like it was almost to villainize Rachel, and it was to lay the groundwork that she's not what she's portraying, because they're going to start that narrative and they edited it that way because they already knew the outcome. And
exactly.
I don't feel like that was fair. I feel like in the past, those conversations by Zach would have been aired. It would have just been, and they would have had them meet privately. It wouldn't have been an on the air thing. It wouldn't have been all of that drama, and nobody would have known about it because they didn't protect her.
Right. Exactly right. They didn't protect her. Right. And I think they were at some point protecting Tino more than really anybody else, because they knew that he was, like you said, they edit it because they know what the ending's going to be. So that made sense. Yeah. Right. But now we're all like, what was said at the fantasy suite? Was anything even said at the fantasy suite?
Yeah.
We don't even know.
No.
Who knows? We don't know. So it's kind of like, okay, what happened?
I think she was looking for a way out, is what my feeling is she was she was trying to convince him that they don't belong together, is what I got out of that. And the only thing she could come up with was, you're too young. But when she was only 6 months older than him, and you're not ready for marriage, I don't think she could come up with a reason as to why they wouldn't work out, because on paper, he was Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. But she always wanted Tino, or maybe at some point Avon too, right? Zach was never going to be her person. But I think that they kept everything really surface in the fantasy suites, and that's probably what bothered him. Or maybe something came out. Maybe she didn't like a story he told her, or maybe she didn't like his voting, past or something like that. I mean, we don't know, right?
Maybe she wasn't affectionate and just went right to sleep in a separate room. You don't know.
We don't know. So until we know more, again, we can't really make, those judgment calls.
Till someone writes the tell-all book.
Yeah. I'm hoping that Tino will, because I mean, he needs to talk. He needs to give everyone a little more perspective, I think. And
because there was a reason.
Himself also, it's like, by all accounts, this guy is a really good man. You know, what I learned about him through, you know, his dad, and just, you know, he's a good man. He seems like, you know, he's pretty genuine. You know, I don't know. It just seems so odd that he would, you know, just cheat on her on a whim for no reason. It's like, look, you either have like a drinking problem or something else happened. Like, tell there's got to be something. It just doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't add up.
Well, I talked about this with my husband, and he asked me if he asked me, do you think that Tino thought that he and Rachel were broken up? And I said, yeah, it's possible, right? Mm-hmm. And that Rachel just doesn't want to either admit that or go into that or whatever. Not the whole break thing, but like literally, because remember when Tino brought up like, oh, well, you won't even wear the ring. You know what I mean? Like, or something. And she's like, she shut him down immediately. Right? Like, so I don't know. I feel like there's definitely something more there.
Yeah, if she's saying in July when it's airing that she doesn't feel comfortable wearing the ring to after the final rose, then there's a problem. I wonder, is it possible that she's under contract? She was under some contractual obligation to say, to like not call it off on her end without a valid reason. And that's what she didn't want to come out.
I don't know, but the more I think about it, do you remember that he said to production, can you just tell her to break up with me? Because he had no control. It's like he couldn't break up with her. It had to be her breaking up with him.
Yes.
That's interesting.
That whole thing was completely, and who he's on the phone with. It sounded like she was on the phone with an attorney.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's different.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
When I'm thinking, because the little bit that, like I remember thinking that's so odd. Like, who is he talking to? What? And it was like, it was very kind of frantic, and you know, I was like, what?
That's why he kept going outside. He kept going outside to talk to somebody to cover his ass.
I thought it was his dad, but then you guys would have known that.
No,
it wasn't his dad. It wasn't his dad.
Wasn't.
Okay.
No.
Interesting.
No.
I don't know.
I'm wondering if so a lawyer or even a producer of the show, like somebody related to the show.
Yeah.
You know,
PR person maybe.
Yeah, somebody giving him
PR,
guidance. You know.
Yeah. Well, and I thought too is interesting that he was taking his shirt off. You guys know why, right?
Because it was hot out.
The mic.
Oh, his microphone. He's taking his microphone off. Yes.
The plot thickens.
Yeah. Everybody's wondering why he took his shirt off all over Twitter. Like, I thought it was just hot outside, but the microphone.
No. Yeah. Because the microphone is like probably taped to him, right? Like it's on him.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably couldn't take it off without taking his shirt off or something. I don't know. That's what I thought. But
I wonder.
It's like, why are you taking your microphone off?
There's some bigger story here.
Yeah, I wonder if Tino was really was over it and wanted to break up with her. I mean, maybe he, you know.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, he might have had that, you know, time and, you know, perspective and talking with family and people he trusted, and, you know, was like, this, I'm done, you know, and. Yeah, that's crazy.
I think it all plays back to the words of his father. People get to know the real person and things come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was definitely alluding to something.
Yeah. Well, was Rachel saying that Tino cheated in the past? Is that what Rachel was saying? I feel like that's what Rachel was saying. That he had cheated in the past on like other girls. Did I read too much into that?
Girlfriends?
Yeah. Like
I
in his past.
That's not the vibe I got.
Maybe after she started giving him those eyes, like, I'm going to kill you, I kind of went blank with everything, because I was like, well, there's the smoking gun. There's something she doesn't want aired. She did. And he's trying.
He triggered
and his dad
her,
kept saying in the podcast, his dad said Tino was frantic about protecting both of them, not just him, both of them.
There's something. There's more than one something, I think. And I just have to say it. I don't like Rachel. I've been wanting to say this the entire time.
You should have started with that.
I feel kind of bad because I'm not that invested, so I don't like her. I get a bad
You don't have to
vibe.
like her.
I feel like
Yeah.
she's manipulative, like totally manipulative, totally, like that girl that is just, I don't know. I don't think she's there for the right reasons. At all. And I mean, she don't do it for me.
She definitely had some narcissistic energy at times.
That's a good
for
word.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that she definitely gaslit those men a few times. I mean, I was raised by a narcissistic mother. I can see that shit miles away. But yeah, right? Yeah. So I think that
That's why
we already talked about that. Yeah, exactly. I was definitely triggered a few times. Me
Me
and the
too.
fact that she, yelled at
I was
Avon.
Just the little bit I saw, I was like,
Yeah. Nobody's innocent here.
No. What he did was definitely wrong, but he looked like a beaten dog.
I feel like,
Oh my
how
God.
wrong was it? That's the part we don't know. We don't know how wrong it was.
No, not
Because
yet.
if we find out what happened prior that pushed him or not, but if we find out some things did, it's going to change my opinion about that completely.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story. When I was young, in my early 20s, I was friends with this girl that I'm no longer friends with, and she was married to another guy who was a little bit older than her, and he was very controlling and manipulative and she was more. They were having a fight one day, and they were going somewhere, and she was driving. She told him, she said to him, "I have had enough and I'm done and I'm going to break up with you." Well, he grabbed her purse because he wanted to take her credit cards, and she grabbed her purse and back, and she's trying to drive, and in the process, because there was a cigarette in the ashtray because he was a smoker, she grabbed his cigarette and burned him with it to get him to stop.
Oh.
That night, he cheated on her with someone else, and his excuse was, you hurt me so much with that cigarette and the way the way you spoke to me, because I guess she wasn't very nice to him. I ended up going with another. I left work with blah blah blah, and what he did is he left with a waitress who gave him affection and listened to his ear, and he ended up sleeping with her. And he said it was because he was so distraught over their relationship, he fell into the arms of somebody else. So, not saying Rachel burned him with a cigarette by any means, or beat him, or any of that, but maybe it was just such a toxic relationship, and that there was so many bad things. Maybe they say this girl was someone that he was going to date before he went off to the show.
That's what I was going to say.
I was about to say that. Yeah,
it sounds like maybe familiar, comfortable, safe territory. You know what I mean? Where it was a soft place to land.
Yeah, and he even said,
Possible.
"Oh, we needed to catch up," which I thought was interesting. I'm like, why would you need to catch up with someone?
He needed an ear.
Yeah.
He needed a shoulder to cry on, and it turned into more.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. And then he freaked out.
It probably started emotional cheating and then went to physical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's probably what happened. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's definitely a mystery.
It's such a mess.
It is a mess.
Ellie, I love that you want to get to the bottom of this. She's like, we find out what really happened. I'm like, yes.
I'm going to be paying attention to this.
We're detectives. They, I don't know if it was, I think it was Jason Tardik or Nick Viles. One of them said it, or a couple people on Nick's podcast. They said, if there's ever, whoever was on the show, I think it was that British comedian Nick had on. He said, if I'm ever murdered, I want Bachelor Nation to figure it out, because they will get down to the bottom of every movement, eye movement, twitch, facial expression.
They are on another level.
Like who done it?
Listen, now that I'm a
Absolutely.
part of it, a part of at least this storyline, I'm invested. I'm Team Tino because I mean all the reasons I've already said. Until
Okay.
something tells me different, and I don't listen. I have a feeling we're gonna find some juicy stuff out.
Do we?
I think so too.
Well, so before we get into, I do want to talk a little bit about Bachelor in Paradise. I know you can't say it, but I got to ask you. What are Ashley and Jared going to announce? Why are they not in Paradise for Paradise? They said Ashley put a photo up.
Oh,
Like, I feel like they're there to marry somebody, or if they're announcing another pregnancy, or
that was my first thought is the pregnancy, but I don't know why they would go to Paradise to announce the pregnancy. Seems kind of odd. But
True.
I think there was a wedding. I just don't know whose wedding it could be.
Okay. I didn't watch it last year, so.
Well, who just got engaged like recently? Really nobody that was on Paradise, I feel like. So I don't know how that would play into it. So I honestly don't know.
It could be that those two that got engaged on Paradise and they've lived together for a really long time and they bought a house together. I want to say Hannah G. And
Hannah G and Dylan?
Yes, Dylan.
They've been wedding planning like in California, I think. So I don't know if they would have a wedding there per se, but maybe it's Joe and Serena because they got engaged there.
Maybe Caitlin and Jason got married.
Maybe. That'd be pretty cool. I don't know.
They were in Mexico. Yeah. They were in Mexico in May. They were in Mexico in May.
That's a good point.
And her mother was with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. Okay, I like it. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. But
I really hope it's them, but yeah.
The preview for Paradise looks incredible. I'm going to be upset because I know a lot of these guys personally. So I feel like I'm going to be I'll be an emotional wreck.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll be an emotional wreck over, Michael A. and Justin. And I mean, there's just so many of them that I care about. So I'm like, I'm going to be watching like this.
I know. I know.
It's going to be hard. It was hard last year, hard this year.
I know there are a couple of broken hearts, and I haven't. Mm-hmm. I every time I saw spoilers as it was filming, I was like, I'm not watching. I do not want to see the spoilers. I want to be. It's hard because they've been so many of them out there. I
know there's so many. And the spoilers are just like people don't even care anymore. They just post whatever.
I know,
and you don't realize like how that ruins this experience of watching the show. I hate spoilers. It does. Literally hate them.
I think Reality Steve is paying someone over in production to feed him.
I think so.
They have to have them all. There's no way. There's no way he gets all of this information just from photos, from piecing together photos from when they're on location and whatnot. The only season he didn't have totally nailed down was Peter Weber's. But I don't know. What do you think of the whole twist that they're going to do, the whole Casamora twist? Did you hear about that?
I get why they're doing that because of the success of Love Island, but I don't like it on Love Island and I don't like it here. I think that again, they're just trying to tear apart couples. And I think that it goes to the heart of what you want to see on a relationship dating show. The relationships, the love, you want to see that. Now, the good thing is that they have so much more time together on Paradise than they do on another franchise show, like Bachelor or Bachelorette. So they have a more solid foundation, I would say. But still, there's a lot of drinking. There's a lot of, stuff going on. I mean, we're going to have our first threesome, apparently. There's a lot going on.
I was going to say, like, isn't this going to be like the trashy, Jersey Shore type vibe?
I always say it's a shit show and a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And I like watching it. I mean, it's very entertaining, but it's a lot.
My daughter is super into Love Island, and my husband even got into it with her.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't start watching that either. So yeah, it was my daughter and my husband and her best friend.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
Well, they do the same.
He watches
They do the
everything.
same types of
Those
things.
are our girls are his friends.
Her husband is adorable with these girls.
He is
love
obsessed with
that.
them, and I'm obsessed with them too. But I'm the kind of parent that I'm like, get away from me. Like,
Yeah.
You know, at times, you know, where I'm like, I need my space. You know, I need my mom time. They're older now. It's not like they're hanging on me. You know.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you know, she'll say, "Mom, do you want to watch this with me?" I'm like, "No, I don't." Whereas my husband's like, "Of course,
Good.
anything."
Yeah.
He's like a Labrador, you know, like
Aw,
anything at
so
all. He's like,
cute.
"Yes, of course." It is really
I love
he's
that.
very, very good with them. But anyway,
Oh my gosh.
I want to check out Bachelor in Paradise to see if I can
Yes.
get on board with it, you know. And
Oh yeah.
It moves
Yeah.
so quickly, you will.
It does. It really does. And Wells
I'll
is
try it.
so fun to, you know, have
Mhm.
there. He's just so fun to watch. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a good cast. I don't love a lot of the people that are going to be on it, but you know,
So what's
they
the
have to
end
pull
goal
from the
for-
past seasons.
yeah, what's the end goal for Paradise?
Engagement,
same.
same thing.
The same? Okay.
Same thing.
Oh,
yeah,
dang.
but they have 3
Or
weeks.
to leave together. Yeah.
3
3
weeks
weeks
of
and
filming.
a lot of alcohol and messiness.
A lot
That
Hot
of-
sounds-
sun,
But they're
Mexico.
together all the
Mhm.
time. They're together 24/7. They're not split up like they are on the other franchise shows. They have
Okay.
a lot more
Okay.
time.
So
And
the
that's why
difference.
these relationships stand up, you know, they do, because they have that foundation that they're
Mhm.
building.
Yeah.
Right? And they're
Okay.
trauma.
So there's a
if
better
you ask
success
me,
rate with this.
They're trauma bonded. I feel like.
For
Right?
sure. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, way more success, Ellie. Way more success.
I mean, look at Jade and Tanner. They've been
Yeah.
together for years now. I feel like the ones, it's hard because, and now with the social media, they all know each other. They're all talking beforehand, or you're going down there, and you get the ones that are waiting for somebody else. So they'll play somebody along till they get there. But I think in the beginning, you get the two that forge the bond, and it's them thick and thin through everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
I
are
think
these
when
all ex-bachelors and bachelorettes?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
They're all from the back.
Yes, from the previous
Mhm.
seasons.
Okay.
I think when you have first sand, that's really where those solid relationships come from.
Mhm.
Like Joe and Serena were first sand, so they were the first to be on the sand together. And so if you're first
Jade and
sand,
Tanner,
you
yeah.
really have the best possible situation to hook up with someone that you want, you know, and that's why those relationships seem to be stronger than like further down on the show.
I'm
or in the
not really
episode.
thrilled. I'm not really thrilled that Shanae's going to be there.
I know, but of course they have to have her. Of course they have to. But I think it's
You
interesting
knew
that they
she
don't
was
have
going.
Elizabeth. But Elizabeth's not there, and that's what I think is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Because
that was
she-
her arch nemesis.
She pissed them off. Yeah, she pissed
Yeah.
ABC off with her photo shoot and alluding to the fact that she was going to be the next Bachelorette. She
Yeah.
wasn't even invited to after the final rose.
No,
she
and
really did a number on them.
Oh yeah, and she came out as being bisexual. So I think that also kind of
Oh, she did? Okay.
She did. Yeah, she did. She did. So I think that probably was something they're like, oh, been there, done that with Demi. We're not doing that again. Right?
Yeah. I think it's
So-
definitely a very, they like, the way they like it over there. They don't want change. And and Demi was outspoken, and I mean, I liked her at first, but I mean, and I still like her I don't know. I know I don't really know enough about her to comment. I know she's caused a lot of waves between a lot of different people.
Yeah.
But, she's a fighter, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I just don't think they wanted to go there again, with Elizabeth. But Romeo, who is someone that she was, I think, involved with at some point, is on Paradise. So that'll be interesting to see that too. And I met him. He's lovely. Lovely guy.
Oh, wow. Yes,
Yeah,
I could
he's
see
lovely.
that. Do you know if Alou went down? Is that his
I
name?
believe-
Alou.
I met
it
him
was a
too.
real-
He is amazing. Olu, yeah. Olu, I believe he did.
Yes.
I want to say maybe Pardeep did as well, which I love Pardeep too. He's a sweetheart, such a sweetheart. I met all of them at the yacht party in New York, and they were just phenomenal. I met Dale there. I met Olivia Caridi. Oh my gosh, it was incredible. The turnout we had was amazing for Bachelor Nation. It was really awesome. Got to meet a lot of great people.
Wow, that's awesome. I bet they'd be great. A lot of them seemed like they'd be nice in person to meet.
Super nice. Super nice.
Because they're still real people. Dale, Dale was down here in Venice with Claire.
Yes.
And it was on the same day we were in Venice, Ellie. When we went, it wasn't for your birthday. Maybe Maria, you and I, we met up in Venice one day. We went and had lunch at that, I don't know if it was
place that she liked.
Yes, the eclectic place. And I read later that day that they were photographed somewhere where we had just driven by.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. I know.
Dale actually was at a wedding with my aunt, and I saw a photo of them on social, and I was like, oh my gosh. And turns out they've I'm like, whoa. Turns out they've known each other for years. Like, they have mutual friends, and they've known each other for years. And I'm like, what a small freaking world. Like, how crazy is that? And I even brought it up when I met him. You have like the 6 degrees of separation to everybody in Bachelor Nation. I know. Higgins, now Dale, it's crazy. I know. I am so sorry to cut you guys off. No. My kids are going to walk in the door in like 3 minutes.
No, you're fine.
You're fine.
Today, and I am so exhausted.
Yeah, I can see her eyes closing.
Oh, poor thing.
I'm sorry. Don't take it personally.
No, well, thank you again for coming on. And maybe we can get together again mid-paradise or something to catch up on the drama.
I would love it. I'll be your Bachelor Nation correspondent or whatever you call that.
Yes, that's it. You got the job.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys. It's always so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Erin.
I'll talk to you soon.
No problem.
Bye.
Bye-bye.